As always, Manchester City have beaten Wolves 3-0. Prior to today's game, Wolves had only conceded 4 goals in the whole season, but we have put 3 past them today, with Jack Grealish, Erling Haaland and Phil Foden all getting on the score sheet. Jack looking pretty happy there. A great day's work at the office for him, and celebrating with the thousands of travelling Blues that made the journey to the West Midlands today. I'm still joined in the studio by Steven McInerney and Paul Dickov. Let's get a word from the gents. Paul, what a brilliant day at the office.
Yeah, fantastic. 3-0 win, clean sheet away from home. Possibly could have been more. I thought we were really comfortable in the end, especially second half. A little bit of sloppiness crept in, but you know, going away to Wolves, whose defensive record's really good, scoring 3 goals, another clean sheet in a national break, fantastic. And you know, the scary thing is for everybody else, I don't think they got out of third gear today. No.
I love the relationships it looks like Erling Haaland is building. We see on the pictures there of them all celebrating together, and he seems to have really settled in, as do all of the new players that came in the summer. I still am absolutely blown away by Akanji and how easily he has slipped in to this team. So that is full time at Molineux, and City have won 3-0. So temporarily, perhaps, or maybe not, we do go top of the Premier League. Of course, the other teams playing later today and tomorrow as well. So, gents, the game, 3-0. Let's go back to the start and have a little look at that first, or a little chat about that first goal. So it came in the second minute. This is the point where I have to admit that I was getting a drink and didn't actually see it live because it came so early for us. But Jack Grealish, who we had talked about before the game, who'd perhaps taken a little bit of stick, Paul, who often does, to be fair, he often gets booed for God knows what reason, comes up in the second minute to make a perfect start for him and for City.
It was, and it was a great start for Jack, great start for City, but it was a great finish as well. You know, a little aspect to the first half, me and Stephen were talking about, we pressed really high. Yeah. You know, and Rodri won the ball back in 30 yards out, and, you know, ball goes out to Kevin De Bruyne. We all know what's going to happen there. Puts in a great ball, but really impressed at Jack, the desire to get into the 6-yard box. You know, maybe previous season or last season he might have been hanging out a little bit outside the goalpost, but great desire to get in there, and look, you see what it meant to him, not just scoring for the club today, but scoring against Wolves as well. Yeah,
absolutely, and I thought he had a really good game all round, Stephen.
Excellent.
He was at his best as well when he gets the ball running from deep, and he had loads of chances that in the second half as well, so I thought he was excellent. Like, of course, he didn't win a red card, but you know what I mean, he invited the challenge, and he got under their skin, essentially. You know, obviously the fans were booing him a lot, which probably was part of the reason with the hesitancy for the foul anyway. But yeah, got the goal that he deserved with his performance today. He was involved, he was energetic. Some really good run through the centre that probably should have resulted in another, you know, another goal involvement for him. But overall, he was excellent today, and I think he'll be very, very happy about it. He looks very, very happy about it too.
He certainly does. And another man, well, I don't know, I was going to say another man that looks very happy, but I'm not sure he did look particularly happy, is, of course, Erling Haaland. He got the second goal for City, 11th Premier League goal of the season, 100 goals in 99 games since leaving Salzburg. Now, the reason I say that, I don't know if he looked particularly happy, was there's a couple of other opportunities for him, and despite the fact that he scored and he's got this incredible record, it was like he just always wants to score more. He always wants to do more, Paul.
He does, but that's part of what makes him so good. Yeah. You know, great goal that he scored. He was angry with himself right on half-time. We were laughing, weren't we? You know, he had a little half-chance.
With the camera, like, get out of the way kind of thing, yeah.
And then a couple of half-chances second half. But his goal was great. You know, people just say he's a tap-in merchant, he's a 6-yard box player, but he's... Look, if you see the goals throughout his career, left foot, right foot, inside the box, headers outside the box, and just seen that again today. And you know, the defenders, I think it was Kilman, thought he was doing the right thing by showing him onto his weaker foot. You know, he's predominantly left-footed, and he showed him on his right, and he's just... I loved the fact that when he picked the ball up 30 yards out, the only thing in his head was to drive and have a shot. You know, it wasn't to get the ball, pass it, get it out wide, get yourself in the box. He thought, I'm driving at the heart of the defence, I'm going to commit somebody and I'm going to shoot. It was a fantastic finish.
What I loved as well is that even though he was obviously frustrated every now and then with not getting the second or third goal, full time then, look at him, he was messing around with Grealish at the end, so he's frustrated at the moment, but he understands essentially, you know, everyone's trying their best, whatever, you know, everyone, even if the pass doesn't come off, he's not going to hate him for it, you know.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate professional. He wants to win because he's a born winner, but, you know, his attitude is absolutely exemplary, and he's a team player after it, so I love that attitude, basically.
I feel like I'm just going through all these goals in my head now, attempting to go through them all, because obviously there's been 11 so far in the Premier League. And have we seen them? You mentioning the right foot, left foot. I feel like we've seen everything for him now. So in this occasion, he picks it up from 30 yards and he runs through, and it's on his right foot. We've seen the spectacular goals that we've seen in the week from Borussia Dortmund, the Cruyff style in the middle of the air. We've seen the tap-ins. We've seen left foot. We've seen a penalty. Have we seen a headed goal?
Yeah.
So I mean, we've seen his full range now, Paul.
There's still more to come. There is. He's a born goal scorer, and it's instinctive. But it's his desire to want to score all the time that I just love about him. I'm saying he's getting frustrated. He's only frustrated with himself because, when you're a striker and you're playing against 10 men and you're 2-0 up and you're 3-0 up.
He was sensing a hat-trick, wasn't he? He wanted a hat-trick.
He wants more goals all the time, and that's all it is. But he's obviously getting on very well with his teammates, as we all know, and celebrating at the end. They're all singing together and hugging each other. So, not just a fantastic player, but a great character as well, and that's what we want to see.
I love the way that they react to each other as a squad, as a team. They just seem to really get on, and the new players seem to have just slipped in so well. Now, the other key talking point from that first half was, of course, the red card in the 33rd minute for Nathan Collins, Stephen. But I think pretty much as a unanimous, as you often don't get in football, unanimous, that was a red card.
It was De Jong in the World Cup on Alonso-esque. It was a flying karate kick. Maybe he was just trying to mimic Haaland's goal the other day, but whatever it was, he caught him right in the chest, and it was reckless, it was high, he was out of control, and he was looking at Grealish, and there's absolutely no real complaint you can have about that. Maybe he'd feel like he didn't mean to do it, but most things aren't meant in football, be it a misplaced shot, pass or whatever. Mistimed challenge is still something that's not, he got a red card and he deserved a red card because it looked painful. It looked like it hurt Grealish, and he's only got himself to blame for a moment of madness, to be honest.
Jack's just lucky that he didn't get a serious injury there, and whether he thinks he meant it or not, you don't go in with your foot that high with your studs up and then drag your studs down somebody without knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wolves go into the second half there with 10 men. And actually, I felt, Paul, almost like in that second half with 10 men, Wolves perhaps a bit better.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Sometimes it's easier to play when you're down to 10 men because the pressure's off. Yeah. Bruno Lage probably went in at half-time. He's not put a centre-half on. He's moved Neves back to centre-half, or one of the midfielders back to centre-half. And he's probably said to the players, look, you've nothing to lose. Go out there and play with a bit of freedom. And they've done that, and you've got to give them credit. I think we were a little bit disjointed at times. The game is very, very open, which probably suited Wolves more than it did us. But at the same time, it was only, I can't remember Ederson really having to make a save in the second half.
No, not really.
And really testing us. And we were in control, and it was only a matter of time when the third goal was going to come.
And that third goal did come in the 69th minute from Phil Foden. I love the whole move before this game. So the assist does come from Kevin De Bruyne again, making it his 92nd assist in the Premier League. Now, we did talk about that before the game today, saying that he needed to get 2 more to equal Steven Gerrard's 92 assists in the Premier League. Steven said he'll probably do that today, in which he did. So Kev got the assist, but it was a ball from Erling Haaland to Kevin, who then got the assist across for Phil Foden. So I just love the team kind of work that was involved in that goal, Stephen.
Yeah, a lot of talk when Haaland signed was how we all have to adapt to Haaland, but he has to adapt to us as well to an extent, and that was such a Manchester City thing, that little kind of picking the ball from the channel, play it to De Bruyne who's going to whip the cross in, and that's so Man City. We've seen it a billion times, but it's so hard to defend against, and that's part of his development as well, and learning how to bond with his teammates, and look how happy he was to be involved as well. You can see him sort of in the background of that picture, but Haaland's buzzing, for Foden, and it was a lovely goal, absolutely lovely goal, simplicity in its beauty, it's just, wonderful stuff, and Foden deserved that as well. A lovely finish as well for Foden, by the way, like a little dink past the keeper. Beautiful.
I love this picture, by the way. You can sort of see the Wolves player lying on the floor in the background, just like, how am I supposed to defend against this? Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland having a moment. You can feel that connection that's built between the two of them, and obviously Phil Foden just looking ecstatic, because it did come at a really important time, that goal, Paul. It did feel like, that sort of strange 2-0 situation where you don't want them to get back into it to cause nerves. You want to get that goal to obviously kind of feel like you're sealing the deal. It
was really important because, although we said Wolves didn't really threaten, they were actually on top a little bit at that time. So to get that just killed the game off, and Stephen saying there's such a Manchester City goal, and as much as we've got all this wonderful individual talent, you can tell, you look at the first goal, very, very similar. You know, but it was Phil who took the touch and back-heeled it into Kev to go across for Jack, and this time it was Erling that done it. And what I liked about that was that I think some fans and people have been slightly worried that if Erling's not in the box, who's going to be in there to finish it off?
Well, he's learned, I think, from last year as well.
And with both our wide players in there, Jack for the first goal and Phil for the second goal, given the desire to get in the box, get across the defender, and a great little finish with his weaker foot again, you know, on the right, just guided it into the net. Power was on the cross. He didn't have to do anything with it and just guide it in. So a fantastic team goal again.
I love it when these players are scoring these insane goals with their weaker feet as well. It's just makes them even more crazy. So that 3-0 win does take City to the top of the Premier League. Of course, with our other teams playing later today, our rivals playing tomorrow and today as well. So for the time being, at least, we are sitting top of the Premier League. How important is that, Paul, when you are playing first? When you are the first... Well, no, there was games on Friday night, but when you are the first one of that chasing pack at the top to play?
Yeah, they'll say that it's not important, they've got to do what they want to do, but deep down, they'll want to say, let's put a marker down for everybody else. Let's get a result out the way. Let's get them chasing after us now. And let's do our job and put the pressure on them when they're playing afterwards. It's the same last season when it was us in Liverpool who was playing first, who was playing afterwards. You want to get the points on board and say, well, come on then, what have you got?
And of course, you fancying Brentford against Arsenal tomorrow. Arsenal got beat off Manchester United either the last game, I forget the gap now, or the game before that as well. So it feels important to have really stamped down that marker today. And I'm sure that our friends in London are looking, thinking, uh-oh. Well, here they are.
It's the inevitability of Man City, isn't it? Like, and we've seen City get to the top and then just stay there before, and Arsenal and everyone else, they'll be fearing City getting to the point, because at that point they know, oh, they're going to stay there, potentially, hopefully. That's what we want. And yeah, you do have to put a marker down. Football is so much about what's in between your ears. It's so psychological. Like, any chance you get to put a little bit of uncertainty on your rivals, you absolutely take it. And I think Guardiola will know that, the players will know that, and Arsenal, look, this is a test for them now, isn't it? Because they've had a really good start to the season. They lost what many people would say one of the first big challenges. Look, can they get their form back together? They're currently off the top of the table. They've just lost United. Can they turn it around and put in a performance against Brentford? It's a big question being asked for them. So this will absolutely be on the back of the head.
It's a bigger question now we want today as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For them.
Absolutely. So we mentioned Arsenal getting beaten off Manchester United. Many people saying it was their first big test of the season. Our next game in the Premier League on the 2nd of October is that Manchester derby as we take on Manchester United at home for the first time this season. Obviously, we had thumping aggregate win over them in the 2 games that happened last season, beating them 6-1 over those games. Big test for Arsenal. Is it going to be a big test for us, Paul?
I think it will be. It's a derby, you know, and I can't imagine saying Arsenal was a big test. It's a big test for United as well, as much as it is for us, and how they go ahead and play, because I don't think United can, against the bigger teams with the squad they've got, go and attack teams. I think tactically that they're going to have to sit in. They're going to have to sit in deep and try and hit us in the counter, which we've seen of them before. If they come here and try and match football and everything else and have a go at us, they could be in big trouble. But I just look at that today and look at the performances already this season. The players that are coming on, hopefully Laporte will be back. Kyle Walker back on the bench today, which is huge for us as well. You just keep your fingers crossed that everybody comes back for international break fit and we go into there flying.
I feel like you look at it, Paul, from your very optimistic sort of play ahead, whereas I look at it, and I don't know about you, Stephen, all logic goes out the window when it comes to a Manchester derby, despite the fact that I know that we are the better team and have been for 10 years.
Do you think? We're going to romp it. I can't wait. Haaland hat-trick.
Do you think? Seriously?
Do you know what? Yeah, I think they're going to be really up for this. I'm very confident about the derby this year. I'm very confident about it. I think that Haaland's going to come alive.
It's the same as every game. We've got better players than a better squad. So if we perform to how we can perform, we'll beat them, and we'll beat them comfortably.
And with Paul. Paul speaks truth.
He does. Paul is still the most optimistic City fan I have ever known. Of course, Manchester United started off the season really badly, losing those first 2 games, that thumping defeat to Brentford as well, and then went on a run after that of 4 wins in a row. So they are feeling, especially after that Arsenal win, they are feeling a lot more optimistic, and I'm sure they fancy coming here now and maybe proving people wrong. I
don't think they'll be looking forward to coming here at the start of the season we've had. Look, I think Ten Hag is a very good manager. I think he's still going to need time. But their squad on paper is nowhere near as strong or as good as ours. And they'll be coming here hoping to pinch a draw.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the very most. They'll be thinking themselves, if we can go to the Etihad and get away with a point, we'll be delighted.
I think they'll try. They obviously have improved. I'm going to be honest there, even as a City fan, I hate me to say it, but they have improved and they've got some good players. But ultimately, I think City do what they want to do much better, much more refined, and once again the home factor. Like I don't know, I'm feeling confident about this game. I can see City winning, hopefully comfortably.
They're not playing this weekend because their game was one of the ones that got called off this weekend. Then we're going into the international break, Paul. Obviously, we've played today. Does that, and had the Champions League games, obviously they had their Europa League games. Does the fact that we've played today and won, will that give us a little bit more of an edge? Or do you think by the time it comes in 2 weeks, it's kind of...
I think by the time it comes in 2 weeks' time, that'll go out the window. And yet again, it is the derby game. But I look at how we set up and how we play, especially in the middle of the park. And I'll look at what they've been playing in the middle of the park, and I don't think they've got enough legs in there. You know, Christian Eriksen's a fantastic player, but he's not a central midfielder. You know, McTominay's probably doing the work of Eriksen and Fernandes because they don't want to track back. Yeah. And I just think we'll outnumber them in the middle of the park, which is going to cause them big problems because it'll leave spaces everywhere.
So, and just final question, obviously we're going into the international break now, Stephen. Do you enjoy an international break? Do you like watching the players, or are you kind of just in the hope that everybody comes back nice and fit?
I'm very much in the form of latter, being honest. I kind of just want to make sure everyone's all right, you know. I take a bit of break from football during the international week, but I'll be paying attention to see what, Haaland and co does and De Bruyne and so on. But as long as they're all right, as long as they're ready for the derby, that's all that matters for me.
Thank you. Steven McInerney, Paul Dickov, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to have your company. Thank you all for joining us today on Matchday Live. Stick with us, though, because we spoke earlier in the week to our Lioness, our goal-scoring hero in the final of Euro 2022. Of course, it is Chloe Kelly ahead of tomorrow's first WSL game of the season as Manchester City women take on Aston Villa. The men have won 3-0 today in the West Midlands. Let's hope the women can do it again tomorrow. Here's Chloe Kelly, and we'll be back with you on Derby Day.
So, Chloe, do you remember what was going through your head as the ball actually hit the back of the net?
No, not really, to be honest. I wanted to make sure it was a goal first because I didn't want it to go VAR, and I went crazy in the celebration. So I was like, right, I'll wait for the ref to clarify it's a goal, and then absolute scenes after that.
It was. And the pause, when you thought it might have been offside, must have added to that, like you said, that extra tension before you heard the roar of the crowd.
Yeah, to be fair, in my head it was silent, but obviously watching it back it definitely wasn't. But yeah, I think I blocked everything out until I made sure it was a goal, and after that I just went crazy, to be honest.
Rightly so. How special was it to win a first major international trophy for 56 years and being alongside so many of your friends as well? Yeah,
such an incredible group of players and staff all mixed in one. Absolute legend, Jill. To share the pitch with such a legend is unbelievable, but to share that moment with her and the final game of her career was so special. And yeah, what a day, what a summer, and to spend such a great summer with an unbelievable group was very special.
And you've spoken about highs and lows of football while you were recovering from injury. Does this achievement sort of demonstrate just what hard work and patience pays off in the end?
Yeah, definitely. I think in tough moments you always look for the positives, and this time last year I would never have thought that I'd have a winner's medal around my neck and score the winner at Wembley. I always believed I could, but in your head, that's what gets you through the tough times, the tough days. But to be here now and to have the winner's medal around my neck, it's what dreams are made of. And those tough moments in your career are the ones that shape you for these big moments.
Yeah. So. And looking ahead to the new season, there's been some big names coming in and there's been some big names going out as well. How do you feel the squad is shaping up from the early pre-season training and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough season. A lot of teams are really bringing in great players, as are we. But I believe that our signings are brilliant players and young talent that's got great years ahead of us. We have a real young group of players who have brilliant futures, and I'm excited to be on the pitch with those girls and to be learning off a great manager like Gaz. Yeah, I think coming here to City to win trophies is what I want to do, and now we've got great players, and we lost such great players as well, which is obviously sad, but yeah, I believe in the group that we've got, and hopefully the plenty of years to come with great talent.
And obviously our Champions League exit was disappointing. Do you feel the chances recreated on that day, on another day, might have actually seen us through?
Yeah, it was disappointing, and it's frustrating when those fixtures come so soon after such a major tournament, and hopefully in the future that can be a change in the women's game, because I don't think it's great that we're having to play such a tough fixture so early on in, well, pre-season fixture straight after the Champions League. It's a bit crazy, but no, I think on a different day, if that game was in a month or so, I believe that we would come away with the result we wanted. But credit to Madrid, they got the win on the day, and now we have to build and improve for the first game of the season. We can't dwell too much on that, but credit to Madrid, they got the win on the day and they turned up when they needed to. And
does that spur you on domestically to I mean, I know you set out to win every trophy anyway, but because we finished runners up so many times, does it just, if you can add 1 or 2 trophies this season, will that make up for that exit? Yeah, definitely. I think having that disappointment so early on in the season, it gives you extra fight for the coming season, and I think we have a great group of players and staff, and we believe in ourselves and improve each game, and yeah, it's really exciting, but we know the opposition are going to be tough, so we need to be at our best to be able to do that, and individually and as a collective we need to be at our best and stay fit and strong throughout the season and keep improving game by game.